You see that top left corner right there? That's my number one artist. Her name is Phoebe Bridgers. You might know her. I want to talk about her today. Phoebe is the kind of artist where if you are going through something and you just need some like emotional support, some sad songs, do not listen to her because she's just gonna make you go further into that hole. Her music will ruin you for way longer than it needs to. I am a huge Punisher girl myself, but my journey with the Phoebe Bridgers discography is one of not liking it, then liking it, then liking it too much, and now I can't listen to it anymore because if I do listen to it, it'll remind me of those times, and I just can't live my life being reminded of those times every day. I've been thinking about making a video about Phoebe for a while now. I just want to have a bit of fun with this. I want to tell you about some stories and tell you about some of my favorite songs and why they're my favorite songs, and maybe do a tier ranking of Punisher. I was first introduced to Phoebe Bridgers via my friend Kareem, who you may have seen before. He is a big Phoebe Bridgers fan. Often when we were in the car and he was on aux, he would play music that he thought I would like. And he played Kyoto for me, and I heard Kyoto for the first time and I didn't like it. I did not like it. My first initial impressions of Phoebe were like, what is this girl talking about? I was like, why do I care that the payphone costs $1 a minute? So many details that I just don't care about. Like, why is this part of the song? I just didn't get it. A lot of my friends who have listened to Phoebe Bridgers, the first time they hear Phoebe, they're like, oh, like, okay. It's only upon the 100th listening that you're like, damn. Another early song that I heard through Kareem that I did not like was Funeral. He was like, Keith, this is gonna be the saddest song you're ever gonna hear, ever. And I was like, okay, let's do it. He plays Funeral for me and we get to the chorus and it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm so blue all the time. I'm like, well, you can't just tell me you're sad, you know, you gotta show, don't tell. She's just saying that she's sad. She's not showing that, you know? It's like a cheat code for having the saddest song ever, is that you just say that you're so sad all the time. So my first initial impressions of Phoebe were not, oh my God, this is awesome. It was just like, okay, this is the artist Cream really likes and plays way too much in the car. And then I met a guy who also really liked Phoebe Bridgers. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in quarantine because I was exposed to COVID. It's 2021. I'm talking to this guy online. We're like vibing. And since we can only talk virtually, I'm like, hey, why don't you send me a playlist of your favorite songs and I'll do the same. Well, on that playlist, one of the songs on there was Halloween, which I feel like is not appreciated enough as a song because Halloween is a banger. Picture this. I'm lying down in quarantine on my bed in this room that's not really mine because I had to move to a different room for quarantine. I'm feeling like, holy shit, I'm gonna die. Everyone's gonna die. We're all gonna die. And I'm really into this guy. Think about this future with this guy. Like we could be anything. Anything. That song really resonated with me. It was so haunting. I just played that shit on repeat over and over. I was dumbstruck. This was the first Phoebe Bridgers song that I heard and I was like, whoa. And then, funny story, I got out of quarantine and things didn't work out with that guy. And suddenly that song was now, we could be anything, about that thing. Its meaning kept evolving and I kept listening to it. Halloween remains one of my favorites. I love Halloween. I can't listen to it anymore because it reminds me of that bad time in my life. But when I do listen to it and I sit and I stare out the window looking longingly, you know, for the rain and the horribleness of that time, that's where it transports me back to. Is that moment in my life. The next Phoebe Bridgers song that really got me, that really hooked me, that introduced me to the rest of Punisher and Stranger in the Alps was I Know the End. I wish I could hear the song for the first time over and over again. Sometimes in my free time, I just like to look up people's first reaction to that song. The last 3 years of my life were at times very turbulent. I Know the End held so much of that anger for me. The world was falling apart, everything was ending. And I really resonated with that. That song was probably from a first listen, one of my favorite songs. And then slowly, over time, I started listening to more and more of Punisher. I discovered the real double whammy, the two punch. And that's the Savior Complex to Moon Song pipeline. Whew. Okay, Savior Complex and Moon Songs are the kind of songs where you just lay in bed and curl up in a ball and cry and just hold on for dear life. I feel like a lot of my love for Punisher is the time in which I listen to it. It feels so closely connected to being back in college and a lot of those experiences. It was a real big part of my 2021 and 2022. Today, I don't listen to Punisher as much because some of the songs are really like, they come on and I'm like, damn, I did not need that in this moment. Thank you. And I just skip. Now, when I listen to Kyoto, I'm just so vibing with it. And especially when I listen to Funeral, I'm like, God damn, this is the saddest song of all time. I don't know when that shift happened. I think just over time, it was one of those things where if you get it, get it. Punisher ranking time. My top song on Punisher, I Know the End. Truly, dude, come on. You just can't pass it. I Know the End is the best song on the album. Thank you very much. Let's talk worst song on the album. Horriblest song, which is still a pretty good song. I'm trading punches here between Punisher and I See You. I think I'm gonna go with Punisher. Punisher is the worst on the album because I have never related to such a thing. I am not a Punisher, except maybe for Phoebe Bridgers. While it's sonically pretty beautiful and haunting, kind of like Halloween, lyrically, it's just not the strongest one for me. And yes, that means I would put DVD Menu above Punisher. Punisher is like a solid B+. Number 2 song. We have to go now through the Savior Complex to Moon song pipeline. I feel like that is so iconic for this album that those are going to be the next 2 top songs. I'm going to go a little cray and I'm going to put Moon Song at number 2 because I think it's probably the more impactful of the 2 songs. But Savior Complex and Moon Song combined are like the number 1. Number 10 on the list, I See You. Just, it's okay. It's fine. I like I See You. I like the idea of it kind of all happening in her head. I never listened to I See You though, because it doesn't give Punisher for me. It's not giving haunting, you know? Number 4 song. There's so many more songs that could easily be the top song on the album. So when I say 4, it's really more like 1.4. But when I say 10 and 11, I do mean 10 and 11. Okay, I'm debating 2 songs here, and I think they're both going to be kind of controversial picks. My number 4 song is Garden Song. That seems right to me. Garden Song, holy shit, what a great first song on the album. I would have put it higher. I just think like the outro of I Know the End and the pipeline of Moon Song and Savior Complex, they're just iconic. They have to go first. But Garden Song is like top tier chef's kiss Phoebe Bridgers song. I think my number 9 song is It's Now Time for DVD Menu. I love DVD Menu, but it would be unfair to place other songs below DVD Menu. DVD Menu is the most haunting of all the songs. It's beautiful. I listen to it all the time. Sometimes I just put on DVD Menu for fun. I love DVD Menu, and no one gives it its credit for being probably one of the best openers of all time. Number 5 song, Easy, Halloween. Halloween is epic, and I refuse the slander of people who say that it's not epic. It's probably got a lot to do with its space in my life, is why I like Halloween this much. And I understand the critique that, it's kind of samesies, it's kind of, repetitive a little bit, but I just think Halloween and Garden Song are like quintessential Punisher, where they really round out the album so well. So it's got to go this high up on the list. All right, we're getting close to the middle here. My number 8th song is Chinese Satellite. I really like the message behind Chinese Satellite and that little hook where she says, but I would stand on the corner embarrassed with the picket sign if it meant I could see you when I die is incredible. But the rest of the song is just fine. I do really like the touching on religion aspect of Chinese Satellite. It's a topic that I think Phoebe hasn't covered as much as some other themes that she touches on in Punisher and in Stranger. And so I would love to hear more about religion from Phoebe, because I think if I had heard Chinese Satellite 5 or 6 years ago, it would have been really revolutionary for how I was feeling at the time. But now I enjoy it for the concept and the sonic aspects of it, but it doesn't really hit on any big notes for me personally. The last 2 songs. What comes next? We're left with Kyoto and Graceland 2. I think I prefer Kyoto. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, I was not always a Kyoto stan, but now I can vibe to Kyoto. I think Kyoto is a really good opener for Phoebe Bridgers. I think Kyoto is a great opener, and I think I Know the End is another great opener for introducing new people to Phoebe Bridgers. And given Kyoto sounds sonically the most different of all the songs in Punisher, I think it deserves its spot above Graceland 2. That being said, the story behind Graceland 2 is a favorite of mine, especially because I'm a pretty big fan of boygenius as well. I just love the friendship between Lucy and Phoebe and Julian, and I love how Graceland 2 shows the love that Lucy and Phoebe have for Julian. I think it's a really important song and such a personal, beautiful song, but I don't listen to it as frequently as I do some of these other ones. So that is my final tier ranking list of Punisher, everyone. Thank you. I know it's the right one. I know you agree with all of my picks. If you happen to disagree, let me know your ranking, but I think you're gonna find that I'm entirely correct. A quick shout out to Stranger in the Alps before we get to my story time. I love quite a few of the songs on this album, but I don't listen to it as frequently as Punisher. It's like my 8th most listened to album or so. Smoke Signals, Motion Sickness, Funeral, Scott Street, Killer, Would You Rather. Those are the best. I love all of those songs. I listen to them with frequency. Now, before we leave class today, I just want to tell you one story about my life that relates to Phoebe Bridgers, which is that on Spotify, I have this playlist called Home in Seattle, and it has a bunch of my like chill sort of like listen to this music when I'm doing laundry or when I'm waking up in the morning and getting a cup of coffee, things like that. There's some Phoebe Bridgers songs on this playlist for sure. Not like I Know the End, but more like Savior Complex. One time when I was on a date with a guy, I put on my Home in Seattle playlist because I thought it set a nice ambiance. And we were listening to, you know, not only Phoebe Bridgers, but there are some Harry Styles songs and that one Twilight song that everyone really loves and some other just like ambiance, some Faye Webster, things like that. And anyways, not to get too in detail, but we progress along this date. We're in my bed listening to this music and also talking, and we start kissing and kissing some more and kissing a lot, and Phoebe Bridgers comes on multiple times during this makeout session, and I am making out to this guy to like Moon Song. And it was so bad. It's not the kissing that was bad. It was the me kissing him and him kissing me and me hearing Moon Song in the background. Can you imagine Phoebe Bridgers singing about the most depressing ass shit and you just making out with someone? I felt like I was disrespecting something and I felt so embarrassed. I was like, my God, I hope he's not listening to this music while he's making out with me because that would be so embarrassing for me. It was like, I didn't want him to think I was like tragically sad, you know? I was not. I was just vibing, and I like to vibe to Phoebe Bridgers, okay? So that is my hot tip, and I hope you take that recommendation to heart. Please do not make out to Phoebe Bridgers music, and if you do, I wish you the best of luck. I have not done that since, so I would not know. That's it for me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna go listen to Ryan Beatty now. He's a new one for me, and Calico is probably my favorite album of this year. Goodbye.